Yeah, well, this is a new adventure for us. So, do you want to just elaborate on this, like why we decided to do this, or going forward, why this is going to be our new style?
We wanted to really build the cadence of just doing this on a weekly basis so we feel more comfortable, so that these feel a little bit more like conversational versus us just having to really do an educational script and feeling the pressure that it has to come out really, really good because it's only once a month and we're excited to be back.
The following is for informational purposes only and is not financial advice. Please consult a professional before making any financial decisions. For your reference, our full disclaimer will be displayed at the end of the episode.
Yeah. Yeah, so welcome back to the Building Wealth from Scratch podcast. We are your hosts, Jerry and Bianca. Yeah. So, what do you want to talk about today?
Um,
What's on your mind? The market's down today.
I mean, we talked about it last week, just how the dollar is being devalued right now, and it's kind of scary. And watching the podcast with Ray Dalio, it was like eye-opening. The market has only been doing well these past couple of years, and it just feels a little crazy because I just don't feel like that really reflects reality of like what's going on in like everyday America. And I think like groceries are only getting more expensive, but there's just like all these indicators that is like making it harder. I was gonna say live, but like just like breathe in general. Like in the United States, it's just getting more and more expensive. So I think it just almost makes you feel like what's gonna happen next? Is America really going towards bankruptcy? Because that's really how it feels. And it's just been like spending, and I just have my own thoughts on how if you need to be diligent with your money, so should the government. But I also understand that there needs to be a level of investing to grow as an economy. So this is where I go back and forth, and I feel like we know enough, but we also don't know enough to like be this judgmental sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty valid, and I think that's how a lot of people feel. So Ray Dalio, he's a long-term investor. He's a macro investor, so he doesn't just deal with the U.S. economy. He deals with the whole world essentially, and he is predicting that if this does not really get under control, and what I mean by that is the debt in the U.S. We're definitely spending more than we earn in revenue, so that's taxes. So like a good example, the most recent was COVID, right? Um, when the whole government shut down, the whole economy shut down, the whole country, the whole world. When the government has to stimulate the economy and help it from, going in a spiral into a recession or a depression, and they have to print money and also buy securities. The government is the last stop when things are going bad, and it all derives from debt. That's everything. Everyone fixates on the stock market and, oh, equities are doing great, this that, and the other, but you have to take a bigger look at it, and it's really debt. Because even just a good example of what we've been seeing here the last year and a half, is all these big, magnificent seven, that's the Googles, the Apples, all that, the Microsofts, they've been investing in AI. And a lot of them didn't use their own cash. They got debt to invest into these programs. So it all derives from debt. And so when debt is starting to get out of control, they're the first ones to go. So the private sector is the first ones to hit. That's why the stock market starts to take a hit, because they're not generating enough revenue. They're not paying their debt, their bills, and then it expedites, and then it hits the banks, because then the banks have to figure out, well, we're the ones holding these debts. They borrowed from us, so now they start taking a hit. And so then from there, then it moves on to the government, because the government has the ability to print money. It has the ability to tax people. Microsoft and Bank of America don't have that kind of power. So that's what makes it so lucrative, that they just know like, oh, the government is going to back me up. So when things hit the fan, that's what the government's going to do. That's what they've always done. And it's historical. You can go back hundreds of years, and even the Roman times, it was the same thing. They just make more money. But what they don't tell you is that when they print more money, it devalues your dollar, especially after 1971 when we took the dollar off the gold standard. Now it's a fiat currency, so we can make it whatever we want. There's no real value tied to it. So your purchasing power takes a hit. What, a good example is, in the 80s, you could buy a Coca-Cola for, a quarter. Now you're paying $1.50, $2, and it's not because the value of that thing just got higher because so much demand, right? No, it's because the cost to make it is much higher because the value of the dollar is much less. Because look at how many times they've printed money since the 80s.
Yeah. It's been, I think it's just been constantly printing money. And I think back to like this is where I think I only know wave tops. Like during the Bill Clinton era, like we had a surplus in our economy. Like we actually had money left over.
Yeah, but you got to remember what happened after that. Yeah, after Bill Clinton, we went to war with pretty much the whole Middle East,
Yeah.
from Bush on to Biden.
Yeah.
We attacked every country under the sun over there. And so that surplus went away because we increased our defense budgets.
I think we're experiencing what it's like to live in the deficit because even I forgot what documentary we saw where it was the 70s that they were experiencing very high inflation as well, like during this time. It was probably during the Cold War that they were experiencing all this high inflation.
Yeah, well, it was after they had to pull out of Vietnam because they lost. And they didn't lose because the casualties. They lost because they ran out of money. They didn't have enough money to keep funding the war.
Mm,
And so that's the reason why, Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard, was because they needed to figure out how can we print more money without having to justify, well, we don't have enough gold.
yeah, I've always been like adverse to like history because I'm like, oh, history is boring. But now it's like it really is important because there's like a lot of patterns that you see in that in different ways, but they all end up kind of in the same conclusion. Right now, I'm like, oh, are we going into bankruptcy? Like, who knows? Like, who knows what the future lies for us? But I think it's like it would be a lie to say that if the US is no longer like a dominant power, like that's not going to affect us, like us as citizens. Like, no, we're the first ones to feel it. I've been tracking like my budget for 7 years now, like consistently. And the biggest expenses have been utilities and groceries, aside from my mortgage. Like, those are the biggest expenses. And the cost of food, like I have no control over that. Like I need to eat, like we need to eat. Obviously we can get the cheapest thing on the market, but for in terms of our values, like we really appreciate having like high quality foods and foods that feel like real because that's a whole nother conversation. But
Mhm.
these are things that I just feel like at the end of the day, they do impact us. Like the fact that the dollar is devaluing, like how we're doing as a country, like that does affect us directly. So I think I'm trying to find like the happy medium of being okay with that not being in my control. Like who knows? Like who knows what's going to happen to the country in the next couple of years, in the next decade. But I'm also trying to like, okay, what is it that I can control? Like I can't control like the cost of food going up or my dollar going down, but there are other strategies to combat that.
Yeah, and I think that's what everybody should be doing. It's just control what you can control, right? Because and the thing with the government is that, especially right now, there's just so much tension, and it's only going to lead to more problems. Because everyone's just, I'm right or I'm left, and there's no in the middle anymore. And that's the problem. Because if we want to figure this out, and by we, I mean we might get along if you're whatever your political ideation looks like, but we need that from our politicians, because at the end of the day, it's them. That's where the rubber meets the road. They need to figure out, they need to work together. And right now they're not. Because again, it's the Democrats want to spend money because they want to pay for all these benefits. And then the Republicans now want to go and fund all these other wars. They want
Yeah.
to go give the money to Ukraine and all this other stuff and Israel. So it's like, how are we going to figure this out together? And that's where it really matters. And I think what I got out of all of this is that we're at the crossroads
I
right
feel
now.
like a tipping
You know,
point. That's how I feel.
yeah.
Like
Well,
just
we
like
either fix it and we can get out of it, or we keep going down this road and there's just going to be way more uncertainty and the risk is only going to go up.
right.
So that's what I see. And I think it's no, we have to start talking about this. Whether you think you're a Republican or you think you're a Democrat, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we all live here.
Mm,
We're all affected by our decisions and our lack of decisions.
right.
So we need to figure out how to work together to figure this out, because if not, the problem is going to affect everybody. It doesn't matter who you think you voted for. And because at the end of the day, money is what really turns everything, you know. And like I always say, money is just a tool. It's not everything, but it is everything when it comes to a country and an economy.
Right. I agree. And so it's been a little dark and gloom. Like,
Yeah, it's been, and I think people have been realizing that. I think, you know, just everything that's been going on these last really 6 to 12 months,
yeah.
it's been pretty gloomy, you know, because again, whether you're on the Democrat or the Republican side, you've been hoodwinked.
Mhm.
So it's like, what do we do? As
Yeah.
long as you do what you can do with your finances and set yourself up for whatever may come, you're going to be okay. But when you just follow these politicians blindly, that's when I see the risk just go up for you. Because again, they're all part of the system, and it's just the system is just so diluted now, and it's just so unfortunate.
Right. So,
And I just hate seeing people fight each other over this. It's like, no, we're not the enemy. People are not the enemy.
yeah, I think you've always reminded me that people are not the enemy, that we need to really work together and find common ground. And because, like, we all live here, we all live off of this country, so it's like we should really work together to keep it alive. I guess on the good news, like where the one thing that kept me positive, that I was like, okay, this whole past year has been like rough, like what you said, like it's just been like, I feel like political turmoil.
Even though the market has done phenomenal.
Yeah, like that's where I'm like, oh my gosh. And so inflation is just, I mean, has been, there's some things that have gone calmed down.
Been
There's some stuff that has
Yeah.
gone continue to go up. And so when I went back and I looked at our, like that's why I love like tracking our cash flow, our budget, whatever you like to call it. And I looked at that our expenses went down, like the lowest that we have ever had our expenses go down from 150 to 30,000, 130,000 a year. So 20,000, like 21,000 down. Like I felt really proud of us, and I felt really proud because I was like, this is good news. Like this is like the only positive news that I feel like, and obviously the market being up, but also like, okay, like despite like inflation being up, all of these things, that groceries being more expensive, like we've been able to bring down our expenses, which is great, being more intentional with our expenses. But I think overall, like these are the type of conversations that we are having as like millennials growing up in this economy. And
Mhm.
we want to make sure that we are preparing ourselves in the best way manner, and we're also preparing our clients in the best way, because we care about what's happening in the world, because it really does affect all of us.
Absolutely. And again, we can only control what we can control. So that's the best ammunition that you can ever, you know, have, is control what you can, because outside of that, it's all noise. It's all he said, she said, and there's no winning in that. It's just, no, let's take care of our families, let's take care of our communities, let's take care of our neighbors. Let's do that. Let's start small, and then eventually this movement will. And I think I wholeheartedly believe that. And that's why, yeah, that's just prepare for the worst, but hope for the best, you know, and I think that's how it's always really been subconsciously. But I think now we are at a crossroads. And I did notice, I think I saw that there was a report that just came out either today or yesterday or this weekend that now housing is at its all-time most expensive. So less and less people can buy homes today than ever before in
Yeah.
history, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's like the other point. Like it's like it's been tough growing up as a millennial this past couple of years. Like we're just like I mean, we're homeowners, but we don't want to be the only homeowners like our age. Like our whole neighborhood is like like I mean, I love our neighbors, but they're all in their 60s, like, 70s,
Yeah, because
like
they bought it for two Coke bottles
yeah,
and $1,
and I'm
you know?
like, I want other people our age to be in our community as well. Like, I want other millennial homeowners, but it's been like trickling very slow. And it's like, of course, and
Yeah.
like it's so hard like to afford a home right now. So
Yeah, and I think, you know, and home ownership is not about having the house. It's really not. It's a lot more emotional to that. There's a lot more value to just owning a home. And I think the reason why it's so important is because when you have ownership in something, you take pride in it
yeah.
versus when it's just, oh, it's not mine. I just pay the landlord. I don't care about this building. Then, you know, you don't value it as much. You don't care about it as much versus when it is your house. You care how it looks. You care that you want to raise your family in it. You have all these values attached to it. And I think that's what's important about owning property. It's not that, oh, it's gonna value, it's gonna, you know, increase in value and I'm gonna make a fortune. Like it's not that. It's just the ability to have something to call your own.
And like building community around it. It's like you have a stake in this, so you care
Yes.
about it a lot more. Like even just something as simple as like for me when we were renting in Oceanside, we had no idea who our mayor was, who our city council, like how everything worked here. Mind you, we're from Chicago and it's similar but different. And so I think it wasn't until like now that I'm a homeowner here in Vista, I'm like, I know who our mayor is, I know who our city council is.
And we know our neighbors.
Exactly. So it's like we have a stake in this. So I think we do need more millennials to be homeowners. And that's like one of the like I feel common trend within our clients is that they want to become homeowners. And I don't doubt that it's gonna happen for them. It's just because of all these outside factors that it's like it's becoming a little bit more challenging and it's looking a lot different than it has in the past.
Well, we can talk about that next episode.
Yeah, for sure. So I think this is a great way to end it. And I think I feel like we need to leave something positive, but I just feel like everything's going to be okay. I'm usually more of a pessimistic, Jerry's more optimistic. So I just feel like
That's big that she says that everything's gonna be okay.
yeah, so we balance each other out, but I think, yeah, like I have to constantly remind myself that everything's going to be okay. I really
Yeah.
just,
And again, your mood is what dictates your outcomes. So whether you believe in God or in the universe, you have to understand that God has a plan for all of us and
yeah,
you're gonna be okay.
yeah, exactly. So we'll end it at that. So
So,
we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
all right, bye.
Confianza Wealth Management is a registered investment advisor in the state of California. Advisory services are only offered to clients or prospective clients where Confianza Wealth Management and its representatives are properly registered or exempt from registration. This video is for informational purposes only and does not constitute individualized advice or a guarantee that you will achieve a desired result. You should consult with an appropriate tax and/or financial advisor for advice specific to your situation. All expressions of opinion reflect the judgment of the host/interviewee on the date of the program and are subject to change. Presented is believed to be factual and up to date, but we do not guarantee its accuracy, and it should not be regarded as a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. Discussion should not be construed as an offer to buy or sell or a solicitation of an offer to buy or sell the investments mentioned. A professional advisor should be consulted before implementing any of the strategies discussed. Investments involve varying degrees of risk, and there can be no assurance that any specific investment or strategy will be suitable or profitable for a client's portfolio. All investment strategies can result in profit or loss.